Hey, actually, so girls, I'm gonna move one of these things and we're gonna keep everyone over here. It's my favorite thing. This is where we usually live. Can you hold this iPad for me, and I forgot my shoes. Oh, yeah, my butt coming down.
Kata for the sound of the bell. Mind calm, body at ease, breathing quiet, sentiment benevolent. Dharma friends, sitting still in vital silence, wanting nothing, We practice eco-Buddhism together. The sound of the temple bell booms for all to cease from conflict. May the way of Buddha usher in the dawn of non-violent global village forever. Here is the after sound of the bell. Thunder of silence, light after Dharma rain. Om Amoga Vairocana Mahamudra Mani Padma Jivala Pravartaya
Please stand and join me in chanting of the three refuges. We take refuge in Buddha Dharma Sangha, first in Sino-Korean and then in English. Sino-Korean is out of respect to our lineage, Zen Buddhism from Korea. Please throw your voice in as best you can. Shivam Samse Chemam Chare Sanju Shiv, Shiv, Vinyam, Shivam Samse Chemam Chare Sanju Ilchem Sangaya I go for refuge to the Buddha
I go for refuge to the Buddha
and resolve with all beings
and resolve with all beings.
I will cultivate a heart of enlightenment
I will cultivate a heart of enlightenment
and realize the great way.
and realize the great way.
I go for refuge to the Dharma
I go for refuge to the Dharma
and resolve with all beings
and resolve with all beings.
I will penetrate the teachings
I will penetrate the teachings
and uncover oceans of wisdom.
and uncover oceans of wisdom.
I go for refuge to the Sangha
I go for refuge to the Sangha
and resolve with all beings
and resolve with all beings.
I will seek peace and happiness for the many
I will seek peace and happiness for the many
and transform this world into Buddha lands unimpeded.
and transform this world into Buddha lands unimpeded.
Please return for another shorter period of meditation. Please join me in some stretching as an end to our meditation practice. Giving your scalp a good massage. This helps your breathing. Coming all the way back to the occipital bones and the base of the neck. And then working with the ears, pressure points along the ears. Stretching the lower back. Just remember to be at one with your breath as you do these exercises. Stretching upwards to the sky. And then to the left. And to the right. Clasping your hands behind your back. And when we sit up, we do a nice, healthy spinal twist to the left, bringing the eyes all the way around. Slowly coming back to the center, spinal twist to the right. Facing the fists, where your trunk and legs meet, some big body circles. And reverse. Placing your hand over your left ribs. Lean toward the right. And then to the left. Clasping our hands behind our head, some sharp outward breaths. Twisting to the left, to the right. Bring the hands over the head. And as we drop our arms, abdominal breathing.
So, Mom,
the free trial expired, so we either have to buy the app or download a new app with a free trial that's why it won't work. Upgrade to Dictate Pro expired. It was a 1-week free trial. Yeah, so I can download a new free app, but I don't have your password. Okay.
Use your iPhone.
It's okay.
So good morning, friends. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Uh-huh. So Haji Sunim has had an ear infection, and so we're trying to get subtitles on an iPad for her. And so that's what this is all about. Unfortunately, our trial period has expired. So I will try to speak loudly and clearly. So those of you who are returning from having attended services the past few weeks, you know that we have been exploring this topic of work and what it means to our lives. So we started, the first week, we talked about together action as a form of work and embodied practice, and how important that was for the building of our temples. Mostly, our temples were created from purchasing homes in disrepair and repairing them and making them into beautiful places for us to practice. And so that was definitely together action. And then last week, we spoke about right livelihood guidelines, the decisions that we make about how we spend our work time and the types of careers and occupations that we engage in. So this week, I wanted to spend time talking about the how of work. How is it that we engage in work? So all of this harkens back to our theme for the year. The reason we're spending so much time on this is that we want to look at embodied practice as one of our main themes for this coming year. So the how of work. I looked up different definitions of work. And one of the definitions is something a person has to do. That does not inspire me greatly. But we do encounter that in our lives. Another definition is something that's done or made, like a work of art. So a piece of art is a work of art. A third definition, an activity involving mental or physical effort done in order to achieve a result or purpose. So there's some key words here for us: activity, effort, and purpose. Today, I would like to especially focus on that word effort. Last week, when we spoke about right livelihood, we tied that back to the Eightfold Path, because right livelihood is one of the elements of the Eightfold Path, which is one of the Buddha's very first teachings. So if you can group the Eightfold Path into 3 categories, the first is Shila, which has to do with ethics and morality. And so that includes right speech, right action, and right livelihood. The second aspect of the Eightfold Path is samadhi. which includes right concentration, right mindfulness, and right effort. And then the third is prajna or wisdom, which is right view and right understanding. So when we talk about effort, that's firmly placed in the second grouping. So it goes along with when we think about the how of work, that involves mindfulness and it involves effort. I find this, as I thought about this word effort, it's intended to refer to efforts toward purifying our minds, efforts toward connecting with Dharma, these kinds of things. It does not necessarily have to be strenuous. So for me, that's kind of a turnoff when I think about just put your best effort forward. And we do have some of that in our practice, some shouting, some you have more energy than you think, some running around, things like this. But more broadly, I think effort refers to watering the right seeds. If we think of ourselves as gardens, we have within us all sorts of seeds. Some seeds are wholesome and produce beautiful plants. Other seeds are not so wholesome, and they can produce those weeds or invasive things that take over the garden and sort of make it not such a beautiful place. So this right effort is about cultivating seeds. I want to share a couple of different examples with you today. So let's start with right effort as it pertains to physical work. If you've ever come to a Buddhist retreat, we spend 3 hours a day on manual work, on physical work, on embodied work. And why do we do this kind of cultivation, you might ask? Because it involves things. I know Hayun was out there at one retreat. She spent the whole retreat turning the compost, sort of a nasty job. But as she did that effort, she discovered all the wonderful living things in that compost and how important they were for the garden. During retreats, we also do things like painting the fence. So Pasari, I think, was here last year when the whole group of us got out and treated that fence so that we're caring for the wood. So we do things like cleaning, maintenance, whatever needs to be done around here. And as we engage in that kind of work in retreat, that kind of effort, we do learn. I'll give you one example. This comes from an author. Her name is Domio Burke. Have any of you heard of her? She has several podcasts out there, and people do find them interesting and intriguing. So on this one, she's talking about being at a retreat and engaging in work practice and what she discovered. I vividly remember my work practice from a week-long retreat many years ago. I was given the job of maintaining the walking trails at the monastery. This was my favorite job. I loved being outdoors, surrounded by nature, doing manual labor. However, at that particular retreat, my 2 Dharma brothers were assigned to work on the monastery roof. I couldn't help but notice that women were rarely, if ever, assigned to work on the roof or at other physically risky or skilled jobs. This pissed me off to no end. And I spent the work periods over the entire week mentally rehearsing arguments against this injustice, sneaking looks over at my male friends running around on the roof. I tried to let the thoughts go and pay attention to my trail work, but it was extremely difficult to fight against myself. It would be easy to conclude when we find work practice a struggle that we're just not good at it. It could be tempting to give up to make our work into an opportunity for practice. It would be tempting to give up trying to make our work into an opportunity for practice. However, there are two essential reasons not to judge or give up your work practice. First, Buddhist practice is not about reaching some ideal, but about paying attention to your life just as it is right now. In other words, you don't make any progress by dwelling on how you should be. Instead, you fully embrace and face your current reality, which is only possible if you refrain from judging it. You are where you are. There are no guarantees you'll make progress in this life, but you're very unlikely to do so if you give up. Second, the great matter of birth and death is much bigger than we are. There's beauty and truth in operating within your work practice as long as you're trying, regardless of what you think. And skipping ahead a little bit, she makes the point that our efforts and failures are part of the whole picture when we engage in this work practice. So I took some time the other day as I was preparing this Dharma talk to engage in a little work practice myself to see what I could discover. Because I was in my head, I was reading these interesting and cool articles that I thought I would share with you. And then I asked the question, so really, what is this work practice all about? What is it teaching me? So I decided to get up from my desk and to go clean my bathroom. Cleaning is not something that's on the list of things I like to do. So number one, I discovered work practice often is about preferences, working with our preferences, and even in dealing with resistance. As I looked at my bathroom, I said, even though it's a tiny bathroom, no way am I going to do this whole thing. No way, I'm not going to do it. So to work with that resistance, I said, well, maybe I can clean just one thing. I'll try the sink and see if I can make the sink nice and clean. So what I did was when I was cleaning that sink, I took 25 minutes to do it. In my book, that's a long time to devote to anything. But I started by cleaning my favorite soap dish, which I had purchased at a Zenefit, a temple event many years ago. In fact, I remember I got into a bidding war with somebody else because I so wanted this dish and so did she, but I got it. So, but I don't take care of it. It was all grimy, grungy, had stuff all over it. I decided to take some time, clean it, make it look beautiful. And then cleaning, it's a vinyl countertop I have around my sink. So just cleaning that well, noticing the pieces where the dirt had kind of gotten into the cracks and scrubbing it. I took some time getting rid of stains left by the coffee that I pour down the sink every morning. I like to make a bit of coffee in my room, and then when I clean up, I pour things down the sink that stain it. So that took a little while, but I did notice, actually, this is a pretty white looking sink when it's clean. And there's even a silver ring there around where the drain is. So as I was doing all of this, it felt like I was cultivating beginner's mind because I don't know much at all about cleaning. As I said, it is not on my list of preferred activities. So it required me to cultivate beginner's mind. And then I decided I would enjoy that clean sink for the whole day. And as I did that, I realized that, oh, maybe I'll do this more often. Maybe I'll clean it once a week or something. So it's not so hard to make a difference if we fully engage in this work practice. And it gave me a few things to add to this Dharma talk. So was it worth it? Yes. Will I do it all the time? Probably not. But it is worth knowing that the benefits of engaging in work practice. So we are encouraged in our Zen tradition to do a little bit of physical work practice every day. In our culture, we are so much in our heads. We're students, we're professors, we're engineers, all these kinds of professions in Ann Arbor. That's a lot of who comes here. A few people have the good fortune to live on farms or to do other kinds of more physical work. So this may not be as big a deal to them as it is to somebody like me. So the other aspect of how we engage in right effort as it pertains to work is rest. And in Hajri shared with me her Yes magazine this past month. So their Labor Day issue was devoted to talking about rest as an aspect of work, which we don't think about very often. And rest comes up in our culture a lot because our society is so oriented toward working all that time. That's sort of white capitalism. And if we take the moment to engage in rest in a way, that's kind of a form of rebellion. So one article I read was rest can be engaged in by daydreaming. So just taking 30 minutes a day to spend on daydreaming. In the Thich Nhat Hanh tradition, they have something called a lazy day. Has anybody heard of this? Okay. So if you go to Plum Village in France, one day a week, there is no formal schedule. And you are encouraged to engage in a lazy day. So it's defined as no scheduled activities, yet it's a deep practice because it's an opportunity to let the day unfold in a natural way while still maintaining mindfulness. It's a day to practice being. It's a day to practice being rather than doing. It's a day to nourish ourselves with silence, nature, rest, journaling. And then I found this description of lazy day. I can find it that I wanted to share with you. Here it is. So this comes from Melanie Gin, Gin, and it appears in Rest and Creativity issue of the Arrow. My root teacher, Thich Nhat Hanh, taught me to rest. Once a week at his monasteries, monks and nuns would schedule a lazy day, a day without plans, formal practice, or early rising. On those days, when I stayed at the Plum Village Monastery in southern France, I would wake with the sun, gather breakfast, and allow my body to guide me. Some days I would bump into friends and we would devise adventures on the fly, gathering mulberries with an afternoon cup of tea, dancing in the yurt, listening to the pianist in the upper hamlet. Other days, my feet would take me in gentle steps past the lotus pond, wandering through the pine forest. One lazy day morning, after thunderstorms had softened the earth, I ventured into the forest and followed the river upstream. This was a path I knew well from slow walks led by the nuns, whose tents were nestled in the nearby fields. Eventually, I reached the borders of a neighboring field. There, I knelt down into the puddles, forming pools of soft clay, scooping up handfuls of earth with bare hands, the squish and squelch of wet clay tingling with the energy of wonder. I was alive and one with the earth. There was no self to cling to, just the arising and falling of one moment into the next. When I returned to the monastery, there were great handfuls of, with great handfuls of soil for wildflowers shoveled. The nuns tickled me with their joy and stories. Wheeling one load together, the sisters gestured to me to get into the basket. I will never forget how she wheeled me up the red clay road to the monastery in a wheelbarrow. Both of us laughing with pure joy, she said to me, balance, not strength, is how we wheel things heavier than our ability to carry. Did any of you see our latest e-bulletin with a picture of Haji Sunim in a wheelbarrow?
Mhm.
So that image comes to mind when I read this article. Lazy days are a gift from Thai, meaning the name for Thich Nhat Hanh. They are an invitation to play outside the lines of capitalist production, to pause the over-scheming of workdays and evenings, and to fully come home to myself, to hold myself as being worthy of care, love, full stop. And so I think that maybe I'll stop there with that article. So we had a member of Thich Nhat Hanh's organization, Order for Interbeing, stay with us for about 9 months during the COVID pandemic. His name was Fa Pu. Does anybody remember him? So he talked to us a little bit about lazy days. And then he also worked with each of us who live here on our various issues. And one of the things he worked with me on was, I think, this version of right effort. So he was seeing how I cooked breakfast. And he noted that when I cooked breakfast, I was just cooking to get it done because I just, fitting it into my day, breakfast was just all about efficiency for me. And he noted all the many balls that I juggle on a given day. And he said, you know, if you lived in our monastery, we would be chastising you for this. We might even kick you out because the implication is this really is not right effort to just be engaged in this busyness. And as I reflected on that, it kind of goes back to this idea of what seeds are we watering when we engage in our work days, regardless of what it is that we do. So one thing that I'm learning as I live here, and you may be learning this in some version in your life, is that right effort is not so much about getting quickly from point A to point B, but getting there skillfully or in the right way. This morning, for example, on the way over to the Buddha Hall, I got stopped 2 or 3 times, people asking for this or that. And so just said, okay, yes, that's my destination. I want to get to point B, but I'm going to take time to notice where help is needed and be quick to help. And I think that's very important because that helps us build Sangha. It helps us cultivate compassion. We have our 6 right livelihood guidelines that we read every day at the end of the evening service. And one of them is Cultivate Compassion and Loving Kindness. And it has 3 elements. Notice where help is needed and be quick to help. Consider others' perspectives deeply. Work for peace at many levels. So a way of bringing Buddhist teachings into our life in a very simple way, just to do this, notice where help is needed and be quick to help. The very first retreat I went to in Toronto, I was new, didn't know what I was doing. It was a cleaning period. I was trying to run this vacuum cleaner, and it started making this horrible sound. And like, before I could even take a breath, somebody else was there helping me with that vacuum cleaner. I caught something in it, and so they took care of it immediately. Notice where help is needed and be quick to help. That allowed my anxiety to dissipate so that I could then participate in the retreat more fully. So I wanted to, before we turn this over for some discussion, end with this little poem, if I can find it. Yes. So this is a Plum Village song. Because I don't know the melody, I'm just going to read it to you. So in Plum Village in France, on lazy days in particular, they sing this song. Happiness is here and now. I've dropped my worries. Nowhere to go, nothing to do, no longer in a hurry. Happiness is here and now. I've dropped my worries. Somewhere to go, something to do, but I don't need to hurry. So now I would like to ask you 2 questions. How do you embody? What's your experience of embodied work? Did you have one this week where you did something like clean a bathroom? Number 2, how do you rest? I'm really curious about that one, because that is a challenge for so many of us in this day and age. So I ask our microphone bodhisattva to pass the microphone, and maybe Iljan, you can work on the cameras, please.
Oh, great. Hollywood, here we come.
Thank you. There you go. He was already calling in. Notice where help is needed.
The 2 questions are, 1, have you had a recent experience of embodied work? And 2, how do you rest?
So each week I clean my bathroom. I try to take it as an opportunity to be very mindful. Although, since hearing that you spent 25 minutes on the sink, I think I need to revisit how mindful I'm really being. But I try to take it as an opportunity to be really mindful and present with my breath and with my work. And I find that it's like I don't dislike it. It's actually kind of peaceful because there's nothing to worry about. I'm very present, and it also I'm in the bathroom every day, so it creates a beautiful space for me. And so that's something that I try to do every single week, so I'm able to get a bit better each time. And then for me, how I like to rest is I really like to go for walks in nature and put my feet in the earth and like play in mud and do the types of things I would do as a child, but now as an adult because I need it more because I'm more stressed. And I also really enjoy resting by lighting candles in my environment and like reading a nice book or baking something and trying to be mindful throughout the process of cooking. So I tend to leave the dishes in the sink. So this week I was pretty mindful about getting them in the dishwasher and cleaning the sink. And someone here, I think it might be Hadru, said shine one corner. So I felt like I shone one corner. How do I rest? I like to read, so I do reading, but that's not necessarily resting. It's moving my brain, moving my eyes. So I've been recently finding that after work, I'm a little bit tired, so I honor my body and take a nap after work.
Dishes also are frequently my embodied work. I don't dislike doing dishes, but I find that they're constant. It seems like the moment I finish them, more arise. So, but I have made it a practice to note it, like to be very intentional and not rush. I've noticed my husband has broken a lot of dishes rushing. And so I try to be very present with each motion and make sure that I've grasped it carefully. So and trying not to be impatient with the fact that I know as soon as it's done, it's going to need to be done again, but also reveling in the moment when it's done for now. And then rest, it's interesting about the lazy days because I have also found the most, I guess, fulfilling rest that I've done is taking a lazy day where I don't plan anything. And when I allow myself to move through that day, just following what my heart wants to do, and I sort of find the flow, it's very restful.
So I actually live in a co-op, a student co-op on North Campus. And we have these big cafeterias and everybody has to work like 3 labor hours. So I was dishwasher this week, yesterday. So last 3 p.m. to like 6 p.m. I was washing dishes for about 100 people in like an industrial kitchen setup. It was my first time doing it. And it was pretty intense, I'm not gonna lie. And when you talk about working skillfully instead of rushing, the first couple of batches of dishes I did, they came out and there were like still bits on them. And one of my coworkers came back and was like, "You should scrub this harder." So she gave me a suggestion. And my first reaction is like, "This is stupid." Like, this is stupid. I'm not gonna listen, whatever. And I realized like, maybe I should just try scrubbing them a little bit harder. You know, I did listen to that voice and adapted, so I interpret that as a skill in some way. In terms of rest, I'm a researcher, so a lot of my day is habits. Like I wake up every morning and I write. It's my habit, or else it won't happen, right? But I'm also very, you know, I miss those days where I just go out and like surf the web and like read all a bunch of interesting things. So that's really my rest. It's like not having those habits, those productivity habits, kind of ignoring those, even though those are sources of meaning. They nurture one thing, which is career, whereas I need a day of rest, a lazy day or whatever to nurture self-worth maybe or other things. So
So, I'm not sure I'm mixing all of the categories together, but yesterday so meaningful work and restful work is picking herbs like onions and parsley. Yesterday, I was bit by bit mindfully making tabbouleh and crushing the garlic, and it was nice to do it over time and just take my time with it. I'm not so good at doing nothing, but I did lay down and take a nap on the couch yesterday, so I think I really needed it.
I'm not sure that I have anything that answers either of the two questions. Maybe I wanted the microphone just to take the mask off. But I wanted to relate one anecdote from my work life as an artist, and it's about collaboration because I spent 90% of my working career working with faith communities, with Catholic and Protestant and Orthodox parishes, with synagogues, and with temples. So I was always collaborating with people along the way. And I met some really outstanding people. I met a priest in Regina, Saskatchewan. He was a Romanian Orthodox priest. And I had to collaborate with him between Ann Arbor and Saskatchewan on the telephone to get the size of my project correct. I was building an icon screen for him. It's 26 feet long. And it's got to hit one wall at one side, one wall at the other side. You can't be that far off. And we managed to do that. And he told me on the phone one day, I'm putting in a new floor. And I thought, oh no, a do-it-yourself priest installing the floor. What kind of headaches is he going to leave me with when I try to install this? But when I got out there, and a 3-day ride out to Saskatchewan, and I set up my laser level, he had put that floor in flat and level over 26 feet within a 16th of an inch. And as I got to know him, Father Cosman, he explained to me how his father, who was also a priest, would wake his sons up at 5 o'clock in the morning and get them working, laboring. Why? It's an old Christian idea, probably older than the Christians, but it's the motto of the Dominican order of monks. And it says, lavorare est orare. To work is to pray. So you get up in the morning and you go to work, and you don't have to think about the rituals and the words and the catechism, because by putting your body into action, you're thanking, in the case of the Orthodox, you're thanking the Trinitarian God for your life. But in a more ecumenical sense, you're just celebrating your existence on earth by doing things. And that, I want to relate back to my work in my studio and talk. I'm talking too much. I talk about the rhythm of work in a day. In the morning, I'm fearless. And if I don't have an idea in my head where to start with, I'll pick up a broom and sweep the studio floor, just, so to speak, to get the creative juices flowing. And then, as I say in the morning, ideas would come to me, and I could carve up a storm with my carving tools. But by the afternoon, that had gone away. And then, so the activity of the morning tapers down, and at the end of the day, I would find myself sharpening my carving tools for the next day. And that's in a sense, a mindless, repetitive task, but it's also a mindful task, because you've got to keep the chisel at a 29-degree angle to get the edge to go onto the blade. And you can't work without sharp tools. And in all of our practices, we have to keep our tools sharp, our mind, our heart, our entire being. That's all I have to say.
wish I could hear you all. Stories look like they were good ones. I took a yoga training course many years ago in Grass Valley, California, under the tutelage of Swami Vishnu Devananda, a very kind of crazy wisdom kind of yoga master. And it was on this piece of land that was very undeveloped. So we slept in tents and we did our yoga training on this platform beside a big fly-fested and mosquito-fested pond. So it was advertised as a yoga vacation. And so there was that. And then in the afternoons, Swamiji would have us help build a road through the property. And not with any tractors or machinery, but with shovels and pickaxes and hoes. And here's all these yoga students in the really hot sun, though it was in the summertime, pickaxing away and shoveling away day after day after day. And so one evening after satsang, when we'd all done chanting together, a complaint came up to Swamiji. He said, "This was advertised as a yoga vacation. Why do we have to do all this work?" And he said, "Vacation, just a change of work." I think of that often when I'm up in the office doing some of the things I do on my computer. And then I just decide I need to go out and work in the garden for a while. So I can get really involved in both of them. I feel pretty embodied, but my greater self just needs to realize I need to make a change, get doing something different. Anyway, I started.
So thanks for everyone for your sharing and your beautiful Dharma talks. It's makes it easy to come to service and to have everybody else give the talk. So thank you very much. Let's close with the 4 great vows, and then we'll have some announcements. So please repeat after me. All beings, one body.
All beings, one body.
I vow to liberate.
I vow to liberate.
Blind passions, one root.
Blind passions, one root.
I vow to terminate.
I vow to terminate.
Dharma gates, one mind.
Dharma gates, one mind.
I vow to penetrate.
I vow to penetrate.
The great way of Buddha.
The great way of Buddha.
I vow to realize.
I vow to realize.
Good morning.
You can come right.
Oh, do you want me to use this?
You can do it.
Oh, I did.
Sit down.
I won't go to Hollywood.
Good morning and welcome to everybody who's new. I hope you enjoyed or found something important in our meeting this morning. I'm not used to sitting down giving this, so I have to get kind of embody it. Okay, so we have this service every Sunday, and then there's also every other week or twice a month, there's a 4 o'clock service, which is a little bit different, a little more chanting, kind of intimate because fewer people come. That's open to you as well. We are having a family service, as you might have noticed today, and that happens about once a month. And it's a nice opportunity for families with children to come.
learn a little bit about Buddhism. Coming up, we have a one-day retreat on Saturday, November 26th. That's from 9 o'clock in the morning till 5 in the afternoon. And that will give you a chance to see what it's like to live a kind of a monastic life for a day. And you will get some embodied work experience during that time. We can promise you that. But it's quite interesting. There's a fall Young Men Junction, we call it, which is a 4-day about retreat from October 12th to the 15th. Find out a little bit about that before you say, sure, that's for me. It's a little strenuous, but very important to someone who wants to really have an intensive practice for a short time. Introductory meditation classes are happening on Thursday evenings from 6:30 to 8:30. They began September 8th.
Last week.
Yeah, I think it was.
Will you take any more?
We have 6 students, so we could have someone join late if they wanted to.
So for this week, if you want to take it, probably you can join this week. After that,
Yeah.
probably not.
All right. There is an overnight session, which gives you the same instructions, but if coming weekly is more difficult, you can get the same instruction in an overnight session. There is sleep, so it's not like we don't. Anyway, that's September 16th through the 17th. And there's another one on December 2nd and 3rd. Coming up, there's a Sangha Day, which, okay, good.
Yeah, thanks. So we do quarterly Sangha days, and this is an opportunity to come together and to do some embodied practice together. So if you can come next weekend, next Saturday, from 2:30 to 4:30, there will be an opportunity to work together in the garden and on various other projects. And we'll most likely include a little chanting or a little meditation practice as part of that.
We also have yoga classes on Tuesday evening in this room. There's a small cost to that, but you're welcome. That is an open enrollment. It is for about 6 weeks at a time, usually, I think. But we're going from September 6th to October, and then October 18th. Yeah. We have some study groups. We have a member. If you're a member of the temple, we have a Wednesday evening longer sitting from 6:30 to 8, and it's a meditation study. Well, actually, it's a document called The Song of Meditation. We study that and we sit. That's by Zoom. So I'm sure that the link is on the website. The Way of the Bodhisattva, is on Thursday mornings from 9:30 to 10. Again, that's via Zoom, and that's a long work. We study it 1 or 2 verses at a time for a short time on Thursday mornings. And Mark is going to talk about another group.
So we're very excited that we have the fall practice period coming up. And we do a study of a book or a poem during the practice period. The book that we've chosen this time is one of my favorite books, not just about Buddhism, but one of my favorite books in the whole world, which is called Buddhism Plain and Simple. And this book talks about the ideas of Buddhism removed from any Asian cultural things, just like the essence of the ideas of Buddhism. And when the author uses examples, he uses examples from modern day. So I found it to be very inspirational. I first read it about 25 years ago. And so we're happy to discuss these ideas with you guys during the practice period. The author is Steve Hagen, who is a Zen priest in St. Paul, Minnesota. And so also during the practice period, there's an opportunity to deepen your practice, to commit to some home practice of your own choosing, doing meditation or prostrations or chanting regularly. And we will meet for 8 Sundays right after this morning service from 11:45. We'll meet for about an hour. And it starts on October 16th. And we're going to take off the weekend of Thanksgiving because we're not going to meet during that weekend. But there's no charge. It's offered freely. You can make a donation to the temple if you would like. But we're happy to offer this, and we look forward to seeing you there. If you're interested, there's a sign-up sheet on the table in the entrance hall.
I also want to remind people that we have Recovery Dharma that meets every week. And I believe it's in the lower level here.
No, we will be meeting in the library of the yellow building next door. And we will be studying maintaining your sobriety from your addiction of choice.
That includes most of us now, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
All right, yes.
A volunteer vacation opportunity this morning is to help in the garden for 15 or 20 minutes. The garden has got away from us in the last few months, and so even a few minutes of help would be much appreciated. So those who are willing, we'll hand out gloves and we'll see what we can do. Back by the bell shed right after the service. Thanks for participating. Anybody think they might come? So I know.
There's one. Okay.
Thanks, welcome up.
Is there somebody else who might come? Oh, the pole was in the way.
Because it rained, so the weeds will come right out.
Well, if you change your mind and you decide to come, just please come for a little while. I think you'll be interested in the garden that we have. There's some really amazing things that have happened there. Yeah.
All right. I do want you to know that our organization, of course, is run by donations. We have a fishbowl right outside the door if you'd like to give a donation, or we also have the QR code is posted there if you'd like to use that. Also, our farmer, we call him ours, has tomatoes in the vestibule, and you're welcome to take some tomatoes with you if you'd like to have some. Haven't forgotten anything. All right. Well, thank you so much.
So thank you, Sakala. Let's stand and we'll conclude with 3 formal bows.
We'll have to think of how to do this a little better. Start to see what we do.
Yeah, I didn't learn it. I think